Welcome everyone to YouTuber Tournament 7 episode 34, which is going to be another elimination episode. Someone is going home today. The first contender to go home this season, as everyone was crowned the status of contender once we reached the final 10. And now, one of them is going home. We're going down to 9 today. Who will be the 10th place YouTuber in this tournament? You'll find out in just a second. Well, maybe a few minutes, actually. Because we're going to go into some further detail since we are in the later stages of this tournament now. Especially as we are about to approach Wave 4, which is the middle end of the season, so... And we're about to start the last preliminary round next. After that, we will head to the quarterfinals, which will be another 4 eliminations. So, be ready for what has to come. So, now, without further ado, let's begin the preliminary round 7 elimination, which is also going to be the 11th elimination of YouTuber Tournament 7. So, today's objective, we will be counting the votes for the second half of the voting, along with the first half, so they'll be added together. And then the contender with the most votes will be eliminated out of YouTuber Tournament 7, and will be claiming 10th place in this tournament. At this point forward, you've beaten half the contestants already, so... Just going to congratulate everybody there. So you're basically, even if you get eliminated here today, you still are in the upper half of this YouTuber tournament. But however, today, if you get eliminated today, you will not get an automatic ticket to the YouTuber World Championship in 2025. You would have to compete in micro tournaments that I ultimately decide who goes through there. And so, yeah. And basically how that works is it's going to be a double elimination bracket. The results will not be announced all the time in the community posts because that's where the current YouTuber tournaments are. But once the entire tournament, the entire micro tournament is over, I will post the results, and the winner will ultimately then go to the YouTuber World Championship. Now you can play in, if you placed 9th to 16th place in this YouTuber tournament, you can compete in both Qualifier 1 and Qualifier 2, which is coming up this month. Some of you might even make it to other more later qualifying rounds as well. But it all depends. But in order to even be eligible to go to those tournaments, you have to be within the top 16 and lose before you get to the top 8. If you are not 17th to 20th, you're not eligible for these micro tournaments, and you will not go to the YouTuber World Championship. As the bottom 20%, really, I don't think should be going anyways in a YouTuber tournament. So we could take up to 2 more, basically, in this YouTuber tournament. But it all depends on how well you guys upload. So, yeah. And then after this elimination, we will also end Cycle 11 as usual. We've been through 11 cycles now, which means we are now about to move on to Cycle 12. Alright, so if you remember, Team Ninjas in Pajamas has lost the challenge again. So they are the ones up for elimination. One of these 3 YouTubers will be going home today. The first one being Crash Inc., who we've showcased his video already, being battleships. And he has definitely put up a fight in this tournament. He's been up for elimination. There was some misinformation that I said about this YouTuber last time for the number of times he's been up for elimination. This is not his 3rd time up for elimination. This is, in fact, his 4th. I hadn't even realized he's been up for elimination 4 times until I rewatched some of my older content and revisited some older polls. So he is now tied with Blondie for the most number of times up for elimination. In which Blondie hasn't been up for elimination since Wave 1. But then again, she's been up for elimination. Actually, no. Blondie's only been up for elimination 3 times. He's broken. That means Crash Inc. has the new record for the most number of times up for elimination, which is now 4. Alright, moving on to Jerbrin. This is his 2nd time up for elimination, as he has been quiet throughout the tournament because his team never went up for elimination. But that all changed last time within the tournament. That all changed in the last cycle, in Cycle 10. As it took all the way till Wave 3 for him to go up for elimination. So we now have 1 YouTuber who has never been up for elimination. Then we got Tatey. He's been up for elimination a couple of times as well. He's been up for elimination. He hasn't been up for elimination in Wave 1, but I believe he's been up for elimination in Wave 2 once, and in Wave 3 twice now, if you include this episode. As he's been competing pretty okay with some content. He's been seen as the underdog for the last few episodes. So now that you know who the contestants are, or I shall say contenders, let's see who's going home. Alright, so this episode we have received 8 votes, which is 2 less than last episode. So, 8 of you have decided the fate of the YouTubers in YouTuber Tournament 7 today. So, without further ado, let's go over some things. But first, let's take care of the thing that's going to make everyone's day. Who is going to be the first player safe today? As only 2 members of this team are going to survive this elimination. 1 is going home. The first person safe today is Crash Inc., which means congratulations to you. You are going to the final 9. You will live to fight another episode. And now it's down between Gerbrin and Tatey. Yep. Some people might be surprised about this, because last cycle, Gerbrin was the first person to be announced to be safe. However, for Tatey, the viewers might not be surprised because of last time's results. He had the second most votes. But let's see what the votes will be. Alright, it's time. We do this once again. This is the 11th time I'm going to do this season. And probably over the 100th time ever, because I've done 6 tournaments in the past before this one. So, who will be eliminated today? Alright, the YouTuber who is going home today and will receive 10th place in YouTuber Tournament 7 and will be the 11th YouTuber to leave this tournament is Gerbrin.
निकल तो जाओ दे निकालो घर निकालो यही करना है यही बैठा है अरे राइट में अरे लेफ्ट में सीढ़ी अपना बस हो गया लेवल से कर जाएगा तुम्हारे राइट में घर निकाल दो और अंदर डाल के बढ़ाओ
Unfortunately, your luck within the first time you were up for elimination has turned against you. And it turns out you are going home next. I just want to congratulate you on making it this far. But you have not automatically qualified for the YouTuber World Championship. You do still have a chance to go if you win one of the open tournament, one of the micro tournaments, which is 1 and 2. But since you are also in 10th, you are also eligible for some other ones as well. But the other ones will be way harder than 1 and 2, because 3 and above, 3 to 12 are going to be harder than 1 and 2. Because 3 and above are going to feature harder YouTuber channels from YouTuber Tournament 8 and above. So, and if you don't already know, YouTuber Tournament 8 is an Opal tournament. That means you need 1,000 subscribers to enter this one. And you need to have less than 10,000. So even though it's still a limited pool, it's still a much more difficult group of people. So you want to try to qualify within within the bracket first, or you're doomed. I'll probably feature these brackets at the end of YouTuber tournament episodes when the tournament starts. So you'll get the chance to watch that as well, starting, I believe, the 8th, as qualifier 1 will start on March 8th and last for 12 days. And qualifier 2 will start on... So again, qualifier 1 starts on the 8th. And qualifier 2 starts on the 19th. If that's correct. No. Qualifier 2 starts on the 20th. I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to remember. I think it was an 11-day event. I'm not sure. But I'll have to look at my bracket website that I have, because it starts on a particular day. I could probably do qualifiers 1 and 2 at the same time. But actually that would not work, because there are some YouTubers that are in there that would get removed if they win the other one, which would be other YouTubers from this tournament alone. All right. So here's how the votes were distributed. It took a while to get to this part of the video, because there was a lot to talk about the YouTuber World Championship. Now, placing in 10th, again, will make you eligible for qualifiers 1 and 2, but also you are also eligible for qualifiers 3 and 4, as well as qualifiers 5 and 6 also. So you can compete all the way up to qualifiers 5 and 6. But if you don't make it then you can't possibly make it. The higher your position in the tournament, within the 16th to 9th range, the more tournaments you're eligible for in the qualifying round if you don't make it to the YouTuber World Cup or the World Championship. But the higher the number of the qualifier, the harder the difficulty. 1 and 2 are the easiest ones, as you definitely don't want to compete in qualifiers 11 and 12, as the top YouTubers of the entire world are going to be in that, just to qualify for the tournament. But those two tournaments are taking place in January of next year. So that's a long time from now before we get to the world's elites. But it'll certainly be awesome to see them in action. But now let's back to the topic. The votes were distributed. Gerbrin had 7 of the 8 votes, which is a lot. So that's a way more than that's more than 80%. So it's definitely not looking good. It wasn't. Well, it's actually over for Gerberin, so he's out of the tournament. However, for Tatey, who has one vote, even though it's one vote, you still need to think on how you can improve to make sure you don't get a single vote again. I mean, that's everyone's goal. Eventually, if this series becomes too popular, everyone's going to get a vote regardless, but as of right now, we're still at the phase where your goal is to try not to get a single vote. But I don't think this series might get popular till like maybe YouTuber tournament, maybe YouTuber tournament 11. It's probably when it's going to be really popular. I'm not sure. That's just a projection. It's not a guarantee. And YouTuber tournament 11 starts in October. So yeah. So now we're going to move on to tomorrow's objective, which is going to start cycle 12, which is the last cycle of wave 3, which means if you win the challenge here, if you are one of the 2 teams that win the next challenge, you are all going to wave 4, which means if you get that far, you will be put on 2 different teams. We're going down to 2 teams. 50% chance that your team will go up for elimination. So be ready. This is the final the final wave where teams will compete. But for now, we still got one more cycle in wave 3 that you guys got to get through. Now, if you are the team that loses the challenge, you will have to convince the viewers that you are appropriate to move on to wave 4 because one of you will be eliminated. This next cycle, we are moving somebody from Team Fluxo to Team Ninjas in Pajamas to balance the teams out, which means all 3 teams are going to have 3 members each. And this will also be the final elimination for not automatically qualifying for the YouTuber World Championship, which means if your team wins the next challenge, you will qualify for the 2025 YouTuber World Championship. And you'll be the first 8 in. Now, the seedings are still not yet going to be determined until you get eliminated, or until the finale is over as well, depending on how far you get afterwards. But seeds numbers 48 to 41 are up for grabs for YouTubers in this tier. So be ready, as you got a long road ahead of you. And that will do it for this episode of YouTuber Tournament 7.